What's up, guys? Welcome to this Friday recap. This week, we have a really, really good session for you. We have Chris here in the house from EarliBird.ai, which is where we start actually talking about this week in AI, what Chris has been up to, but not just what's happening in AI, what's actually happening in his company, which is growing like this. He talked about hiring, about the challenges of scaling so quickly, and so much more. Mark shared what he's up to in his e-commerce business. Some really good stuff. He actually shared a 4-step framework about how they resource their team properly to solve problems which would otherwise be expensive and slow to solve. We also have Eric here in the house. Eric talked about some of the stuff that he's up to right now in his business. And we jumped into some really interesting Instagram accounts and show you some stuff that will both freak you out and inspire you with becoming far more effective in your marketing. And we also shared right at the end some really powerful stories about the power of network with some real examples involving billionaires, millionaires, and fascinating people from all over the world that we are currently engaged with. So this is a really varied pod, but I know you're going to love it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Drop a comment below. Let us know if this is hitting the mark. And thank you so much for following us. Let's get into it. Here's a fun fact about our show. We put a ton of effort into making these podcasts for you. The one thing that we would love for you to do if you actually get value out of the pod is just hit that subscribe button. By doing that, it helps us get better guests on the show because they can see that we have a bigger audience. So if you're enjoying the content, just hit the subscribe button below, and then throughout the podcast, drop a comment so that we know that we're hitting the mark or how we can improve. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the episode. What is up, everybody? Welcome to this Friday recap. We are here again, the team from Unemployable. We have a stand-in today for James Denham. He's taking care of business. And in his place, we have none other than the co-founder of EarliBird.ai. Chris, welcome back to the pod. How you doing, buddy?
Mate, doing very, very well. An absolute pleasure. And good to be here with Mark, actually, for the very first time.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
Yeah, joined on the team with Marky Marks.
I'm actually so disappointed I haven't been on a pod yet to discuss AI with you. Like, I've got so many different questions and things that I'd love to talk about, but if we get a chance to that, great. But yeah,
We'll get into it, I'm sure.
Mate, I'm just as happy as you are.
For those of you who don't know who Chris is, Chris and the team have been sponsoring our pod from day one. If you have a business of any kind, you should go check out EarliBird. As you can see on his t-shirt, EARLI, EarliBird, yep, with an I instead of a Y, EarliBird.ai, and they basically can do an audit on your business and tell you how you can be and should be using AI right now in your business. That's the only ad I'm going to give you on Chris, because you're going to see how amazing Chris and the team is today. He's going to tell you today in the Friday riffs about what's been happening over at EB headquarters. It's quite an amazing story because these guys, the only marketing they've done is on this podcast, and you guys are pumping, which is amazing.
Absolutely. We've got a stacked pipeline, which is phenomenal, but not just in terms of volume, but the quality as well, which has been just phenomenal. So we're looking to get a bit of a list together for you guys, just to understand what's coming through. And yeah, man, it's phenomenal.
It really does blow my mind and Eric's with the quality of people that listen to this pod. Like on our coaching call on Monday night, we had 2 students. One just cracked $1 million profit for the first time, or just under $1 million. And then last night, another one who texted us broke 10 million revenue and over $2 million profit for the first time in our coaching crew. And I know that with EarliBird, you guys are stacked with business owners. The average, I think, was $4 or $5 million in revenue is the average client that's coming to you listening to the pod. So pretty exciting stuff. We're pumped to see that. Eric, how are you, mate? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm good. Excited to have Chris here. Always love the topic of AI. Obviously, it's not going to be all based on AI, because I know Mark's going to steal the show and ask everything so he can implement it in his business. Or you can book a call and pay for it, okay?
Yeah.
But no, honestly, I get so pumped for these podcasts. Like, I look forward to it in my diary. It's just
Chris, because this subject's so awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, honestly, for those of you that don't know Chris, he's a unique individual in regards to his work ethic and just his intelligence. He's, when I just...
Unique in a good way, mate, or
Yeah, no, in a good way.
Eric and I are working from a low bar. I was going to tell
it's a very low bar on the intelligence side. But yeah, great to have you on, and always good to have Mark on as well, now that you're a Byron Bay resident.
Yeah, super. So we got what for those of you joining us for the first time, wondering what the hell is the Friday sessions. The Friday sessions is where we talk about our week in business, whatever's been going on for us. There is no guest to interview. Mark has a $4 million a year Amazon business selling products. He's just launching off of Amazon now in the health and wellness space broadly. Chris runs a artificial intelligence agency, I guess would be the best description of what he does. It's a brand new business, but they're already at 6 figures a month after just a few months, which is amazing. We've got Eric, who owns MX Store, which is a 10 million a month e-commerce business that also has fighthq.com.au, mxstore.com.au. He's a major investor and advisor to several other brands, one of which has sold in 1,000 stores across Australia and in the property space. And then myself, I have a background in animation, had a company in Los Angeles that I started from scratch and sold in 2015 in Hollywood, California, and own a software company, have built an education business of $75 million and a whole bunch of other stuff. So that's our background. This podcasting gig is something we do out of passion. We love it. And what we think about before we roll tape is the man or the woman who is driving to work maybe right now as you're listening, wanting to find your way out of a life of, just getting paid enough to get by. You have a dream inside of you. You have a sense that you really are unemployable because your mind is always somewhere else. You're always thinking about a business or a side hustle. You want to have a crack at something, or maybe you are having a crack at something. You are a business owner. We try to be a source of sanity for you, share the shit that we deal with every week, the wins, the losses, the challenges. And that's why these Friday sessions are so popular, because there is no pretense. There is no interview. There's no staging. There's just what's going on in our weeks. And so who wants to kick off this week with some stuff that's going on? I'll kick off with one story. I've got a bunch of stuff, but I'll kick off with one, which is going to be totally unrelated to all of this stuff. And that is that I went to court and I took a guy to QCAT, which is I'd never done it before. A guy owed me some money, and it was actually one of my tenants in a building. We had a difference of opinion about his bill being due, and it took 6 months. And I'm not going to go into who it was or anything else, but what I will go on to say is that if you are in the right and somebody is trying to fuck you over, don't bother with legal letters. Honestly, this has been my belief now. If somebody in the past like, send a legal letter and make a letter of demand, just go straight down to QCAT or your local state office for that stuff. Pay the $300 filing fee, because it was so much quicker. It was much simpler. And I got a court order to pay. And I haven't talked about it till now because the due date to pay was last week, and it's paid. It's now done. But honestly, in the past, if somebody had just said, just go down and file it, my tips to you that are listening is, if you do end up in a case like this, it all comes down to the evidence. So make sure you document everything well, get all your ducks in a line, and then go in and argue your case and have a crack. Because it only costs a few $100s. You go into the courthouse and get yourself paid, which is what I did. So that was a win for the week, which I was happy about.
I've been to QCAT a few times as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever lost?
No, never lost. And this is what I tell everybody. I go, he or she who wins is the one, like you just said, it's so funny, with the best evidence, right? The paperwork, that's in order, the proof, because that's what they go off. They don't really go off feelings. They go off the exact proof of what's happened, and that's how you get paid.
It's evidence. Like, I didn't get the interest component on the money because it was 9 months overdue, this money, because I didn't show evidence of because in my lease it said, 2% above the bank interest rate, but I didn't provide evidence of what the bank interest rate. I claimed 9%, and the court didn't award the interest on the basis that I didn't provide the evidence, but it gave me the judgment for everything else. So anyway,
I was just to VCAT in VCAT in Victoria, it's called. So it's purely unemotional. It's what you can prove, what supporting evidence you can bring to the table, and sometimes we have you been for development projects?
No, more for tenancies, tenants that just don't want to pay and feel like they don't. Like I had one tenant that still had 4 months on his lease, and he just picked up and left because he bought a place, and he thought, you know what, and he complained about a couple things while he was in there and thought that wasn't going to work, and I went to QCAT and got paid the full judgment. And the thing is, with that is sometimes, they force you to pay. Right, they give you a time limit to pay, but if they don't pay, you still got to chase them, but majority of people are gentlemen, you know, and they will pay.
Yeah, it's worth doing. In my case, I sold the building and the tenant realised I don't have a relationship with this guy anymore. And when we gave him a bill for all the outgoings, he was like, "No, I'm going to not pay that." And so anyway, fun and games. All right, more positive note or real note. Who's got something on? Chris, what's going on at EarliBird, mate? Like I know you're in the vertical growth stage right now. Like what's it like inside of EarliBird? You start off with 2 guys and a podcast saying, go and check out EarliBird. Now you're like growing, you got clients. What's happening?
I'll tell you what's not happening at EarliBird. So it's been insane. So look, to your point, we've been growing vertically. It's like being strapped into a rocket. We're just trying to hold on and, for dear life. So the last couple of weeks has been phenomenal. We've just hired a new COO and we can't announce who it is just yet. They've been working away in the background sort of part-time. Very, very excited.
What is a COO? For people who don't know, what is a COO?
A Chief Operating Officer. So someone who's going to oversee the day-to-day tasks and making sure things get done on time and at the right standard as well, which is going to be great for me because up until now, that's been primarily a lot of what I've been doing. And that's going to free up a lot of my time. And so that's very, very exciting. When we announce who it is, I think there'll be a lot of people who go, yeah, it's a familiar face. So
Really?
Very, very cool. Yeah, just keep you in a bit of suspense there, Mark, which is great.
Am I the only one who doesn't know?
Yeah, mate.
And the rest of the audience.
You're last man on the deal team, mate, on this one. But we can say it's a she.
It is a she, yes.
It's a she.
Yep. Very, very experienced, absolute weapon, just an absolute gun, and just a pleasure to work with. Just an absolute pleasure to work with. So that's been great. We've been doing that. Plus, we've hired a whole bunch of new devs as well. So we've got another 5 devs coming on board as well. So again, we've got so much demand coming through. We just have to keep it pumping. And so that, and just speaking of, I guess, the realities of things, is it's great, but it also brings its own pressures as well. Because when you're bringing new people on board, you've got to. They don't know the systems you've got set up. They don't know your processes. They don't know your customers and clients and what you got going on. So I guess temporarily for me right now, this last week has been just, it's been pressure and a lot of work because yes, it's great to bring these people on, but you've got to get them up to speed. You've got to tell them what's going on.
And I had to put some perspective on this, Chris. Like your hours at the moment have been bonkers.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
like,
insane.
and maybe you can tell us like what have. I'm not saying I'm not advocating for this.
No, don't. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, what have they been?
Yeah. So look, I definitely don't advocate for this either. It's not sustainable, but in short bursts, you've got to do what you've got to do. So typically, I'll get to the office maybe about 9 or 9:30, and then the last few days in particular, I've been leaving probably at 4 or 5 in the morning.
Wow.
For the day, go back home, get a couple of hours rest, and then head back and get it going.
Did you say a couple hours rest?
Yeah, a couple of hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not sustainable, but look, sometimes at the end of the day in entrepreneurship as well, like the buck stops with you, right? And so you can't just sort of say, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow or do it the next day. If you've got a due date, you've just got to get it done. And the cool thing I've been looking at recently is who, not how. It's a great concept that came across. There's a great book I'm reading as well. And so we're in the middle of getting a whole bunch of who's to help solve all these problems. And so, like I was saying, temporarily, there's a bit of an uptake in the workload. But after that, these who's will help solve the problems we've got. And we're not trying to figure out how to solve the problem. It's who can do that for us. It's been...
For sure, that's the challenge also with your business is that it's global already.
It
so
is.
you got you and Josh down there in the head office. Then you got team in,
all over the world. Yeah, so we've got them all around, around Asia, Eastern Europe, obviously the Philippine areas as well. And the other thing too that's challenging is it's a relatively new space. So there's not many people that actually know what they're doing, and let alone are good at it. And so, even the people we're getting in who are quite experienced in AI, we're still having to upskill them quite a lot because they're still not familiar with a lot of the processes that we're following. So it's a very interesting space. It's a very dynamic space, and what works now wouldn't work, a month or two ago as well. So we're always updating our systems and processes.
It's crazy. Like it's not like a normal business or even a trade where you get up to scratch with your apprenticeship over 3 years, because in 3 minutes the rules of the game are literally changing. There's not much like it at the moment.
No, and to your point earlier, Adam, too, like this is literally just all these all the clients we've got coming through there. I'd say probably 99% of them have come through the pod, and just through social media and obviously Adam and Eric with their network. And again, because it's such a high demand space, it's moving very quickly. There's so much demand. We've got to upskill the team. There's a lot going on. I think in the next 3 to 6 months, I'm very excited for the back half of this year, because up until this point, we've started like 3 months ago. And so we've gone from a standing start to now having some really good systems in place, now getting some really phenomenal people as well to help drive those systems. I think we're really set to move in the back half of this year, because we've done zero advertising or promotion beyond the podcast. And again, we're just rolling the solutions out as well. So look, I'm pumped. Like, obviously already we've been doing some really, really good things in terms of the revenue, but the back half of this year, we're going to see, I think we're just going to go to the, not just the Mars.
It's a lot of work training new people. Hey?
Oh yeah.
People forget, how much, and this is why hiring well and being slow to select is important, because you put all that time and energy and transference of IP from your head to their head, and then if they walk out the door, it's not just the IP they walk out with, it's all that time and then having to start again and all that stuff. But it is good vibes over there. Every time we go there, it's just head down, bum up, everybody's working. It's just, you guys are, I think, are onto a good thing.
Thank you.
What you got.
And can I also just reiterate too the importance of having good people around? So obviously, Adam and Eric, you guys have been phenomenal with all the support you've been providing, because there are growing challenges as well as you grow. So obviously, not plugging things too much here, but like essentially even the coaching program, within the coaching program, there's some phenomenal people who have been just great, just working with, reaching out and discussing things with as well. So look, you've got to have, as good as AI is, and obviously here I am, doing AI, you've got to have great people around you, and that's what really counts.
What's a recent example of how it's really helped you as a founder? Like a practical example of either from us or from somebody in your network that's just been like really like, that really helped me. Just so people understand.
Well, yeah. So simply even just, you guys come around the office and working through the office. We've had also James come past and work from the office as well. We've had Wayne, who's been on the podcast.
How does it help you?
It's good having that sort of the experienced and cool heads who have been in business for a long time. And so right now we're like, everything's going on. And then just having the presence and the ability to ask you guys questions about, hey, this is what's going on here. And you guys can just say, just take a beat, take a moment, and just give that sort of that wise advice has really helped a lot. Again, both of you guys, Wayne and James as well, have come through. It's been amazing.
For those listening, Eric and I are big believers in, we've both made a commitment to be in EarliBird once a week for at least a few hours. If for nothing else, then just to show our support to Chris and the team that we're here if you need us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we had some administrative stuff to take care of yesterday, like all these papers that had to be signed by the bank and shares and all this sort of stuff. And I know how busy Chris is. So I printed it all off here and rang Chris, said, are you free for 5 minutes? I'll come over and just put these under your nose. We know at the moment, sometimes the best thing is just to be quietly in the background and just so the presence is felt, because out of sight, out of mind, that physical presence, even if you're not doing anything, is valuable.
Yeah, and just checking in as well. Like even bloody just bringing in Lavington, mate. Honestly, the other day it's just phenomenal. And again, not blowing smoke up people's asses here at all, but like you look at the caliber of obviously everyone here on this table, and the fact that you would get up and take your time, right, to come and support us, is just phenomenal. Like you're not saying, hey, come to me. I need to do this. It's
we've been you, mate.
Yeah,
what it's like.
Yeah. And look, it makes a massive difference. So appreciate it.
What's the best thing you've seen this week in AI? Like, what's the most exciting stuff happening out there in the world of AI?
Voice. It has to be voice. Yeah. So the AI phone calls. So we've got a few of them starting to come together now, which is phenomenal. So the opportunity here is massive. So we're talking to one person actually who I think maybe is scheduled for the pod potentially in the healthcare space. And she's just signed up, yep, let's get some voice going. And for her, like, running let's just say like a medical center, for lack of a better word here as well, it's going to be a complete game changer, because she's currently got her therapists, like actual OTs on the phones, like manning the phones there. So not only does she have to pay them that rate, but they're not actually going out there and doing what they need to do. So that's huge. Plus, we've also got...
how are you going to use that? Give us a break. She's just joined our coaching program, actually.
Yes, absolutely.
Penny, what a rock star.
Yeah, lovely lady.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, she's coming on the pod. And for those listening, I just want to mention this to give you context. This girl, 4 years ago, I think she started.
Yeah, I think it's three
years ago. She's got the number 4 is coming to my head. She's got 4 kids. All 4 of the kids are autistic.
I believe so. Yeah,
I think
it's in the family.
Yeah, all 4 of them. And she's got adult ADHD.
Yep.
So imagine a mum with 4 kids with those challenges. She couldn't find a clinic to provide a decent level of service.
Wow.
And so she said, I'm going to start my own clinic. And she did. She just started it up in Gladstone. She's now got 65 employees, a multi-million-dollar business with 4 autistic kids and ADHD. Shout out to Penny. So
incredible.
I can't wait to have her on the pod. She's coming down. And now she's joined our coaching, but she's also worked with you. So how is she going to use it? It's just like practical.
Yeah, so like inbound phone calls. So you call a medical center, and what often happens is, receptionists are busy, so you go to voicemail. So essentially the AI is going to be able to pick up the phone on the inbound call and handle that inquiry. Or you want to make a booking to see such and such? Yes, I can get that done, and it can book it in the system. Or you have this particular, you want to rearrange or change your appointment? Yes, that can happen. Or even in their case, you just want to call and have a chat, because that's apparently what happens with a lot of them as well. So they just call, just support, just 10, 15-minute calls, sometimes even longer. And that ties up their behavioral resources, so the AI will be able to handle all that for them as well. And in addition to this too, we've been talking with, I believe it's the 3rd largest debt collection. Yeah, and I think that'd be phenomenal. As well.
They talk to us about becoming clients of the coaching as well.
Absolutely. Well, and look, great guys, great company as well, and they're looking at this as well, because again, you just think about making those phone calls. It's not pleasant. No one wants to talk to you if you're doing that. The AI can now do that on their behalf, and it's not going to be emotional, right? It's not going to be frustrated or any of those things. So the person on the receiving end will get a better experience. The company will also get a better experience, because again, they don't have to worry about paying people to do that. It's not stressful. And essentially everyone's going to win.
This is a perfect example of when we've been saying on the pod in the past, AI is going to enable a small new company to come out of nowhere and become the big gorilla.
Yeah.
Imagine all the old debt collection companies with telemarketing style call centers that are paying human beings $20 an hour, probably plus, because it's such a shitty job to have to do, versus somebody who's just partnering with you and just going, boom, make all those phone calls outbound and have a better experience on both sides. That's what we're talking about.
Can I ask a question? Because for me and for the guys on the panel, to know what ChatGPT is and to have played with it, it's like it's second nature now, right? But there's a lot of really smart and established businesses out there that I speak to, owners of businesses who have never even heard of ChatGPT. So for the people listening that are like, what? Someone's going to make a call? Like, can you talk us through how that actually works?
Yeah, so I guess if you're at the point where you still need to learn about ChatGPT, essentially what this is, it's a voice version of ChatGPT. So with it, you're sort of talking via text. You'll type in a message and it writes back to you. This is the voice version of that. And look, you need to be getting into this space now, because we were talking about this, I think, on the pod 2 or 3 months ago, about it's coming soon, and here it is right here, right now. So I guess, look, the best thing you could do would be just to open up a ChatGPT account and just start playing around.
So ChatGPT is actually enabling this app?
There's a few different models. So there's a few different models that we use. So ChatGPT or OpenAI is one of them. There's also Gemini. There's also a few others as well. And so they're what's called like a base layer, so an LLM layer. And we build the solutions over the top of those as well.
Right, so you guys are actually building solutions. And wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we're not here trying to create another OpenAI. Yeah, this is not. But look, the tools are being provided, and this is the beauty, right? All this is available. It's like a box or something's come out of space and it's just landed on the desk, and it's like, wow, what is this thing? This thing has magical powers that can grow your business, it can save your costs, it can do all those things. But people just don't know how to unlock it, how to push the buttons or do whatever they need to do. And that's essentially what we're doing. We're taking that box or that thing that's fallen out of space and using it to, again, provide value for the business.
Would you say that it's a little bit similar to Apple and the App Store? It's like there's Apple and there's Android, right? The language learning models, and then all the value accretion. Well, Apple's got a lot of value accretion, but there's a lot of value accretion that happens on the application level.
Yeah, to a degree, yeah. So we are essentially building apps, I guess, over the top of the App Store there as well. Yeah. And just actually speaking of Apple, they've just recently announced their partnership with OpenAI as well. Did you guys see all that?
Yeah, so basically Apple phones are integrating with
an iPad,
replacing Siri, right? basically.
Enhancing, yeah.
And WhatsApp is also, I just got the latest update of WhatsApp, and at the top it's got Meta's AI at the very top where it says Ask Meta AI.
Elon was a little bit stressed about the fact that Apple is privacy concerns. Yeah. So do you reckon there's anything in that to be worried about?
For sure, especially at that level, because it's corporate and enterprise level, secrets he's got to be careful of. And look, at the end of the day, like with all tech, there's always going to be vulnerabilities that people don't even know exist yet. And so I think he's very prudent in making the decision he's made there, which is, for those of you who obviously don't know, is like he was going to ban AI-enabled iPhones from any of his factories or offices. They had to be put into like a Faraday bag or a Faraday box, so they don't have any sort of ability to communicate to the outside world, because again, you just don't know what AI is going to pick up and what it's going to do with it as well.
That was based on, I think he said that if it is installed at the operating level,
yep,
right? And so, is there any conclusion on whether that's happening or?
Not at this stage, no. Not this stage. So it's sort of built over the top right now, and I think eventually they'll get to the point where it is at the operating level as well. But not right now. I think one of the cool things though that I did see was the iPad, like solving math problems. So like that, like you just write something.
That this morning. Just write the equal sign and it'll automatically sum up the number.
Math notes.
Yeah.
I see on an iPad.
What a game changer.
That's real. I mean, that's really good for like if you're in a business meeting, you say, "What's that number?" You write it down, blah blah blah, and you can just go divide by or whatever, and just completes it. Yeah, it's very powerful.
But do you remember the movie Good Will Hunting?
Yep. Yeah.
And they were trying to solve those math problems on the board. Now this notepad can help to solve those math problems as well.
Maybe Richard, you could go onto YouTube quickly and just see if you can find that video, a little demo of Apple Math Notes, and we'll just play it in a second so people would see it.
And I think that's maybe the thing that people still haven't grasped with relation to AI. So it would take maths geniuses hours and hours and hours to solve a complex math problem, and then from there could be a real world application to it. Now the average person is going to be able to solve these crazy maths problems. So imagine the real world applications down the track. Like, they're going to be phenomenal.
You're basically outsourcing your expertise.
That's the one there. Sorry, guys.
You're right. Yeah. We as people, if we think about how we're going to make the most use out of AI, is again, don't think about how does it all work. Think of how can you actually apply it, and then take all that information and go, okay, I'm going to let the AI do all the heavy lifting, but I'm going to use that heavy lifting in this particular use case over here.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's a big topic that's evolving very quickly. I was listening to a video on Tesla, Elon Musk. I was the shareholders meeting for Tesla, and he was talking about AI and electric vehicles, and also the humanoids, the robots. And he reckons that there's going to be, for every one human, 2 humanoids. Yeah.
And they're affordable.
Straight. Yeah, he reckons about 20 grand.
Yeah.
For 20 grand, you can get your own humanoid in the future. And I just start going, like, they're going to be outnumbering us by double.
Yeah.
And at 20 grand, I just like stuff like that. My old school mentality kicks in, and I hear my dad going, Skynet, they're going to take over.
I'm texting something to Richard to bring up because it's just nuts.
What are your thoughts? Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, what are your thoughts on Elon Musk? And he claims that, there's people out there that claim that he's kind of at the forefront of AI because he's got Tesla that is the real world learning, so that it will be up by using cameras. He can teach a humanoid robot to do anything. And so he's perfecting that with driving. And he's also got, the reason that he's so pro free speech is because what he's trying to create with X is a truth-seeking algorithm, because he thinks that in order for the AI to be as powerful as possible, it has to be seeking ultimate truth and not biases.
Yeah.
And, where does that put him in the future to have those two things?
I think it puts him to be one of the most powerful men in the planet, because you combine that. So you got Tesla, the cars, you got the Tesla bot that's coming out, you got Neuralink that he's working on as well, plugging into people's brains there, but also Starlink. Don't forget Starlink as well. Yeah. All of these things need internet connection. And so he's now setting up a global system of satellites that can provide internet anywhere. So I think he's positioned very, very well.
I think this is his this is his grand plan to colonize Mars, right? If you look at all the businesses that, like even the boring, well, you're going to need tunnels in Mars, right? So all the businesses that he creates in some way leads back to life form on another planet.
You might need the flamethrowers over there too. You don't know if there's any existing life like that.
I was trying to buy one. You can't bring them in unless you say it's for entertainment purposes. So Adam, we might need to chat. Yeah, because I'm gonna use the pod as an excuse to get it up on this wall.
Richard, I emailed you that link. Just have a look at that. You were saying about that Elon talk though. I've had a lot of my friends talking about that that Elon speech about the Tesla's driverless cars and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's hard not to listen to that. This was a half an hour snippet of it. I'm sure it was a couple hour long, 2 hour long speech, but it makes it hard not to want to buy Tesla stock after you listen to it, because you're just like, at the end of it, I'm like, this guy is going to own Earth. Like,
And
I shouldn't say own, but like control.
So do you know
full control?
Do you know that it's pretty known, apparently, allegedly, that he owns about 20% of Dogecoin as well.
Wow.
So he also has, a currency that he's potentially going to roll out when he gets to another planet. Like the guy is just
he's playing 3D.
There's 3D, 4D, and he's playing like 8D chess. Like that doesn't even exist yet. The chess that he's playing.
I just sent you another link, Richard. That's not the right one. Yeah.
No, but he's very well positioned.
When are you getting long Tesla stock, Eric? I've been telling you.
After watching that last night, that's why when we were discussing this off camera about you going long on the Tesla stock, I'm like, you know what? I'll probably put a little bit on too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check this video out here. This is a friend of mine sent this to me. This is a robot factory in China. Now, think about this in terms of the speed of which the intelligence piece has advanced. So the software, if you like. Now look at the hardware advances that this came out of China this week. Check this out. I mean, this is crazy.
It's Westworld.
Like it is literally Westworld.
Or maybe that's low.
What?
She even had a short skirt and high heels. Did you see that?
I did.
That's unbelievable.
There you go. Imagine what you could do with that. Hey, Eric.
James not here.
Oh my God, Jesus. All right, so guys, this is where it's heading, Chris. We're trusting you to protect us from the robots.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to have our own army of robots as well. So yeah, look, and this is just
can't beat them, join them.
Well, I could think of one industry that's going to boom on the back of this.
Oh,
as long as they're waterproof.
100%. And
plating.
Clean as a pups.
But it's not just the physical; it's the emotional. It's the emotional power of these language learning models as well. Like I've had so many deep conversations with my ChatGPT voice, and it's hard to go these places with many people. Like you can go so deep on so many things, and there's going to be a massive emotional connection formed with these machines.
And I think when it adds that physical visual layer, that you're actually sitting opposite almost indiscernible. It's currently indiscernible, but in the future it may not be indiscernible.
It could be a problem for further problem for birth rates. One of the things I'm big on is we need to start increasing birth rates again, because that's going to be a pretty big problem.
That's going to affect birth rates. People aren't going to leave the house.
No.
So you're going to need
got to do your part.
You're going to need all these robots for productivity, because no one's going to want to.
There's a lot of women and a lot of men sitting at home going, it sounds pretty good.
What are you complaining about?
I do what I want and then say, go clean the house on both sides of that aisle, right? They're like women, I get all the benefits without any of the dramas, right?
Exactly. Talk to me, don't talk to me. It'll be happy either way. So.
Fine line between utopia and dystopia. Right?
I saw a female comedian in Los Angeles, and she got up, she started her set by saying, I'm about 2 dicks away from being a lesbian. And I was like, I'm sure there's guys on that side of the aisle too that feel that.
Yeah.
So moving on from AI, what else is happening in the world? Chris, thanks for your contribution, and now you can laugh at us,
mate.
What's going on in your world, mate?
Well, we're not quite growing it at the rocket pace and Starship pace as your company over there, but we had a little milestone recently. So the new wellness brand just did our first 10K USD in a week.
And that's a new business, right?
Yeah, it's brand new. So, and we've had a shit ton of challenges launching that on Amazon. One of the biggest ones was PPC. So one of the things that I basically could just talk about the little learning that we had and what we did to kind of try and turn things around. We identified that PPC was a little bit of a problem. So I said to my co-founder, look, I know you've never done PPC before, but I want you to take back control of the PPC for the next couple of weeks and just see how you go. And it kind of set the table and said, you can make as many mistakes as possible. And he's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, just go out there, and I have a belief that we can make it work better than what it's currently working. So, 3 or 4 weeks into that process, and he's gotten the account up to 10 grand a week, basically off the back of his PPC changes.
How is he learning it? What is he doing?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because often times we create values within our businesses. So one of the values that we have within our business is our opportunity is boundless. Our ability, basically opportunity is boundless, and our ability to learn is boundless. And I thought to myself, okay, it's really good to have that up on a wall, but how does a team do that? Like, what's the process for doing that? So before I went and gave him the permission to go do the PPC, I said, look, we've got this value, and I think what we need to do is build a process around how to actually achieve this value. So we built a 4-step process. It was the step number 1 was, have you found the foremost expert on the topic? So he went out and he found the foremost expert. How do you know that they are the foremost expert? So it's like the next step was, have you listened to them speak on the topic for at least 100 hours? So he's gone out and he's done his 100 hours of listening to that foremost expert. And then the third point was, have you connected with 3 other people who have been on this path and know the successful road ahead? So he went out and he connected with other people that have been on a similar challenge. And the last part is, do you have all the resources that you need to make this happen? And so we basically put that 4-step process in place. And within 4 weeks, without any prompting beyond that from me, he's gone out and learned something that he had no experience in, and he's turned it around and delivered a 10K a week. So
that's a great story. That's a great story.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
All the information's at our fingertips, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like when you start digging and you ask the right questions, like you guys are doing, it's all there.
Yeah.
What I love is you've given us a framework here, which I've just written down, which is find the leading expert, verify that they are expert, and spend 100 hours studying their content. Then get 3 other people who've solved the same challenge and learn from them. And then, do you have the resources necessary? Because so often bosses will just say, go do this thing, without giving any instruction on what doing they actually want done and checking that they have the tools to do it. So that's a really cool framework. So can I just ask you, with the verify piece, so you find the experts, I guess you Google around, and pretty quickly the experts emerge by the volume of their...
Yeah, so that, of all the points, that's probably the most nuanced point, because it can be, your opinion of who the expert might be different to my opinion. But, do you remember the tuna, John West? So the fish that John West rejects is what makes John West the best.
Mm-hmm.
I think ultimately, to find out who the expert is, you got to see who isn't the expert. And so you have to look at a wide range of different people that are speaking on the topic. And after doing that, I think it intuitively becomes pretty clear on who the expert is.
The echo chamber sorts you out pretty quick, right? The algorithms get hold of your search needs, and that's really cool, Mark. Fantastic. And congrats on that. I think that's such a powerful lesson, though, isn't it? To take it in-house and not rely on external.
Yeah, and it's like, we are still going to try and find an expert agency, but it was really interesting through this whole experience, because Oliver, what he's basically learned, and he came up with this learning with me. He said, at the start when we hired that PPC agency, I wanted to give them a go because I kind of trusted that their sales speak. And he goes, but I didn't know otherwise. I didn't know how to detect otherwise. But now, after this process, he's got the ability to see who's talking rubbish and who actually knows their stuff. So, yeah, I mean, we speak about it all the time, but it's invaluable to get in there and get your hands dirty. And I think, for founders out there, there's nothing that's below you, really. You've got to have enough of an understanding as to how things work to be able to sort out who is the expert.
You need to know what good looks like, don't you?
Yeah, and if you don't quite know who the expert is, you haven't done enough research.
Yeah.
That way you don't get bullshitted, right?
Yeah, and it happens to all of us. Like,
it does.
They say that salespeople are the easiest people to be sold to, and that's true. I've been sold so many times.
Yeah.
All right, changing gears. I want to contribute something, and then we'll flip to you, Eric, which is I gave a speech at Marketing Masters in Sydney a couple of weeks ago, and I banged on a bit about saying you give yourself an unfair advantage in today's world if you sell a product or service that's highly demonstrative visually. And I sort of extended that idea by saying the world today, the channels through which we can reach the masses are all visual. So if you look at TikTok, you look at Instagram, you look at Facebook, all those mediums of communication are visual, right? And the ones that are growing are the ones that are more visual, like TikTok, right? So reduced attention span, highly visual. And so somebody said to me, you know, what happens if you sell something that has a benefit that's not visual? And it got me thinking about that, because there are lots of products that have, like, for example, I offered everyone here in the first session of the recordings today one of those neuromints that I've been using, which is basically a combination of caffeine and L-theanine, which basically means you get the focus of caffeine but without any jitters. Anyway, so if there's no demonstrative impact, but you feel the impact, right? Or people selling gut health products or whatever. Eric's sitting here shaking. I'm just wondering if that's his Alzheimer's. Oh, geez. Eric went to check what Alzheimer's was, and when he got to Google, the links were already purple. Anyway, so my train of thought there. No, so what I was saying is that if you can find a way to make it visual, and I just randomly during the week discovered this Instagram account. You can flick it onto the reels there, Richard, if you want. So this guy, if you want to look him up, his Instagram page is microzoom. So microzoom.guy, as in man, G-U-Y, microzoom.guy. Now, the first thing I want you to notice is basically what this account does is he just has a microscope and he gets random stuff and he zooms up on the random stuff under a microscope, right? So what Richard's got up there at the moment is a strawberry, and he's just showing you all the goodies that are on a strawberry before you wash it.
Wow.
And then he washes it and you can see all those little creepy crawly bugs go away. But then he goes down even further and you can see here, like, this is just what's on a strawberry. Then he washes the strawberry. But what I want you to do is I just want to jump out of there quickly.
Oh, no, the strawberry again.
Oh, it gets worse, like the worms that are in them and all this stuff. But I want you to go to the one, see the Cheetos there. Look at the number of views that Cheetos packet's had. 33.8 million views. And this is basically, you can see he's grabbing a Cheeto and he's breaking it in half or whatever, and he puts it under the microscope and he shows you all the creepy crawlies and the bugs and the little polyps and all the stuff that's on, like, look at that.
Straight out of the bag.
Straight out of the bag, dude. Like, it's just gross. Anyways, just leave it playing for a second. For those of you on Spotify right now or Apple listening to this, what we're looking at is the inside of a Cheeto. And it's just this.
Is that stuff moving?
It's moving, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Why are they moving?
Oh, come on, man. Come on.
Yeah. It's disgusting, right? So, anyway. So we'll zoom back out of that. So this whole account is just going microscope on things. He's got stuff of like people digging stuff out from under their fingernails. He's got like scraping a toilet button, stuff like that. So what's
Scraping a toilet button.
Yeah. So what's really powerful about this is that if you are selling, for example, a gut health product, what I would be doing is getting under a microscope or getting some blood out of somebody who's got good gut health or bad gut health, or if you can actually make visual the benefit if you've got some kind of topical or ingestible or cleaning product or whatever. In a way, look how popular this channel is. That one Doritos or whatever it was, Cheetos, 33.8 million views, and he's not talking. All he's done is grab one Cheeto, stuck it under a microscope, and it's been shared hundreds of thousands of times.
I wonder how much he's been offered by Frito-Lay to actually
take that down. No, but I just thought it was really fascinating from a marketing point of view. If you send a dental hygiene product, do a swab inside somebody's mouth before they use your mouth bomb, and say, now we do a swab after using your mouth bomb, and you to see all the creepy crawlies are gone. That's how I would sell it.
I'm wondering if it'd work for a fabric. Like we sell a fabric. One of our products is fabric, and we know that our quality is so much better than our competition.
Correct.
But there's no way to show that in a gallery image or well, there is, but on that initial hero image, it's very hard to see. So, this is potentially something we can look into as well.
I just found it really, really fascinating, like you can, a way to show the benefit of something like visually that's not obvious, like the tongue out and just everyday situations that everyone can relate to. Like what's on my tongue?
Can we see the tongue one? Is there any? Don't tell me there's creepy crawlies.
Let's have a look at the tongue one.
Okay, there's no bugs.
No, hang on. Give it a minute. So again, for our Spotify listeners, this is a micro zooming close up of he's taking a swab off a human tongue and some spit, and he's actually putting it under a microscope to show you what's actually in your mouth. I haven't seen this one, but this is actually exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like,
what a genius concept though too, because like all of us are so curious and enthralled by this. It just brings that natural virality effect as well. This is
completely
phenomenal.
Like, look how engaging this content is, and there's no voice required, right? Like, it's, again, if you're selling any kind of and this is everybody, right? This is everybody's tongue.
And the other thing too, because like, it was a Dollar Shave Club or something that got launched off the back of like just one really clever video or marketing video. So you think one really clever one of these, and you could launch a business.
There's all the bugs in the tongue. Look at all the little bugs, and and this is when like when people are talking about gut health and gut flora and all that. I went, I got PRP because I get PRP in my head. And what they do is they pull the blood out of your arm and then they spin it, and then they create the layer where they separate the blood and the plasma, and then they re-inject it into your head. It stops your hair loss. I have McDonald's about 3 times a year, honestly. That's it. It's just, I don't know why. I must watch a movie or something and I see McDonald's and it triggers my desire. I don't know what it is, but it's honestly 2 or 3 times a year. This particular day, I had McDonald's on the way to get my PRP. And the doctor pulled my blood. Literally, it had it half an hour before. And he goes, "Oh, you've just had a greasy lunch." I was like, "How do you know that?" And my plasma layer, but it's usually dark red and then yellow. The yellow was just milky white. And he goes, "Oh yeah, go straight into your blood." Now, I'd never seen the impact on my blood right after a greasy meal. He said, "Don't worry, your liver will clean all that up for you." And I was just like, oh my God, like it goes straight from your gut, straight to your blood. Now, I know the health people listening to this go, "What are you, a fucking idiot?" Of course, that's what it does. But until you see it, it changes everything. Yeah. And it's made me not want to eat McDonald's ever again after saying it.
I mean, I'm doing a heap of things to try and heal my gut health and whatnot. But looking at this Instagram account, I now realize that gut health is literally living bugs running around my gut. Like I cognitively understood that, but seeing it just puts it onto another level.
There's millions of bugs in your guts. Yeah, that's right. And I didn't realize it until I saw it either. This is what I've talked about, the power of visual and why. Like, look how enthralled we all were. And now, like, if somebody said, "Oh, you want to make that a lot healthier?" Very, very powerful.
And you're going to share it with other people too. Oh, look, what's happening right now.
A piece of salami.
Yeah. Mate, you don't even want to know.
This we know.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be...
Yeah. Oh God, that's a hair.
No.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you look at the comments, right? Oh my God, yeah. Look at the polyps, and so he's grabbing a little bit of fat off the salami, and it's going to be full of.
Or is it a worm? It's a what? Is that a worm?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Now you know why food makes you sick.
Well, there's a woman who actually got a pork chop. I don't know if you've ever seen this, and she poured Coke onto the pork chop.
Does that move?
And it makes all the worms just come straight out. It's just disgusting. Like, look at that. That's alive. Yeah. So if you want to have some fun, guys, go to microzoom.ai and just check this out. But think about how clever this or how useful this could be from a marketing point of view for a whole range of products or services in the health
That's incredible.
sector.
That's an incredible find.
I wonder if he would do like, you pay him as a business to say, "Hey, can you do one of these videos for me?"
Yeah,
I wonder.
Yeah, probably could. Well, he has got links to the Microscope in his bio, so you can buy it. Probably an affiliate link
even better.
to Amazon, because it would be quite easy to do.
Can you give that a go?
It's very, very interesting, and we've got a product we're about to launch that would benefit from this. Okay, turn that off because I can watch everybody's watching it.
I get the fact that salami and greasy food is bad for you, but like the strawberries?
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
No,
Strawberries was gross.
I'm never going to be able to eat a charcuterie board ever. I want to be looking at the piece of prosciutto and just be like, "Oh,
This thing's alive."
Yeah, so we're about to launch a product that's in that we're going to use some really up close visuals to show how the product works. And all I'm saying to people is just be creative in the way you think.
That's amazing. Great.
Visually demonstrating the benefits of your product, even Mark's got linen products or fabric products, it just goes, wow, nobody in my space would be doing that. What about you?
James has the linen products.
Yes.
Don't get confused.
That's right. Yeah, he's a consumer. What do you got going on, Eric?
I'm actually excited because after this podcast, we have our Early Bird shareholders meeting. And for those of you that don't know, we meet every 2 weeks. And it's basically 2 hours of just going through the entire business every 2 weeks. And we go through stuff like going over the financials and where it is, the financial viability of the business at any point in time, future plans, forecasting, and I guess just an all-round, where you guys are stuck in the business, right? And that's some of the value that Adam and I bring big time to the table, right? When we say here, we have this business, or we have that business, people sometimes think, but how do you own so many businesses? Like, what do you do? Because I own one business and I don't have any time to scratch. So explain a little bit, Chris, obviously for the value, and it's not, pissing in our pockets or anything like that. It's just so people can get an understanding when you are creating these partnerships, the value that different people can bring to the table and the expectations.
Well, one relates exactly to that, what we just saw. Like for me and I guess the team in EarliBird, we are so micro-focused and zoomed in on our little piece of the world. And so having people like yourselves coming through with that outside experience, just seeing things in the industry or other industries that can help relate to us and help us avoid any sort of train coming out of the middle of nowhere and just wiping us out. So that in and of itself is probably one of the biggest things that's extremely valuable. Also just the network and just, again, who, not how. Eric, I know, and Adam as well, both of you guys, you always have a who to help us solve a problem. So it's like, hey, and we'll have a few things, we'll make some requests. So it's like, hey, look, this is what we need help with. And I know already, you'll be like, yeah, I know the guy who's going to help you. I know the person who can help you out with that. So that is just priceless. It's
one
amazing.
Experience this week, an example of that is now that I'm on as a director, I wasn't a director before, but now that I am, it's moved your banking relationship to private.
Yeah.
And it's a whole world difference, isn't it?
So different. So different.
Like we never go to branches. NAB come to us when we need something. All of our paperwork, anything we need, we've got a private banker who just takes care of it. If we need a credit card change, we need something done, we need this done. Those kinds of things can be helpful.
Yeah, it's little stuff. Oh, sorry to interrupt you. It's little stuff, but the things that it just builds up over time because it's so busy doing this, it just clutters up.
It's little stuff that creates really big overwhelm when you're starting your first company or even starting a new company, right? Like it's those little things that crush you at the end of the day. That little thing, it's the little thing because you're right. You're so dialed in on the big thing.
Yeah. The other thing that I think is really valuable for you, Chris is in a position where there's a million opportunities, literally every single day. There's people coming in saying, can I talk to you about AI?
Yes.
Can I partner with you? I've got an idea for AI. We've got to the point now where we say, look, if you want to talk to Chris and it's not, if you're not doing over $500,000 a year and you're interested in becoming a client, Chris is $500 per half hour. And we've already got people paying it. Because we can't take you away from the business, and we'll probably put that up because it's just not worth it, even for $500 for 30 minutes to pull you away from what you've got to get done. But in your case, Eric and I are looking at it going, all right, we're looking at the whole landscape, but most importantly, we're looking at Chris and we're going, and the other major shareholders there, what is the outcome? Why are you doing EarliBird? What are you trying to achieve here? And so how do we keep you on the right path to get to that place most efficiently? And a lot of it in the book, the one thing it says, every yes has to be defended by 1,000 no's. And in your case, it's 10,000 no's. It's like, this is what
an idea. Right?
Yeah, this is what EarliBird does. This is really all that we're interested in. And we're saying no to so many business proposals all day, every day, because people go, I've got an AI idea, I've got a way we can integrate, and maybe we'll partner with Chris. And I'm like, no. We provide services to small and medium-sized companies that want to go from small to large really quickly. That's what we do. Only talk to us if you're over $500,000 a year in sales. If you're not, go and learn some more about AI, and EarliBird has some educations for free. And it'll go up to $1 million a year, minimum turnover unless you grow the sales team out quick.
Yeah.
And just because that's the bar before it really becomes helpful.
It's the power of it really is the power of less is more, and it keeps showing itself all the time in business. With the guest that we had on the podcast recently had 10 or 12 different offerings and then narrowed it back to 3, and all of a sudden his business exploded, right? The power of less being more is so important. And I think subtraction is always the first place to start, right? If someone out there is feeling a little bit overwhelmed and it feels like there's so much going on, what can you take away?
What is the
first thing you can take away?
This morning, the pod will be out shortly, but we interviewed the founder of City Cave. It's a flotation and sauna franchise. Basically, you go in there, you can have a sauna, you can have a float tank. 83 locations across Australia, the largest in the industry in the world. And he said at the start we had 10 services in there, and we narrowed it back to 3 because he said by trying to be everything to everyone, we became nothing to no one. So I will just jump in here, Eric.
No, you're right.
I think it's a good time to sort of say that this is why we do the coaching. Like Chris has actually just joined us as a coach. Mark's already a coach on our team. Chris is now our embedded AI coach for our clients. It's that sitting down with people who are not on the, on the actual, in the business, and being able to have people to sit down and just talk about your business objectively. And Eric, you've had some amazing results this week on Monday night.
Yeah, I'll touch base on that.
Maybe you could talk about that. But the impact you had with them and just that one coaching call has had 50% increase in their business in 6 months. And it's just that people that have done it before or further down the road have the benefit of hindsight. And you just pay for that benefit, to be in the group. And that's why we like working with people who have a business, because it's 20 grand a year to be in the coaching group. But if you've got a business and you're taking action, you should be able to get 20 grand back in 1 week, let alone 1 year.
And the time, condensing our time. Because obviously, we've done a lot in EarliBird in a short period of time. That wouldn't have happened if we didn't have the support and the knowledge and wisdom of you guys as well. So you can condense these lessons that would have taken us months in a matter of days. Time. Yeah, that's exactly right.
And we've now opened it so you can pay $2.5 grand a month if you just want to sign up monthly instead of having to have 20 grand up front. It's just a fast track, and it's something I've always done in coaching programs my whole career. Eric, maybe you want to share that story, because it's a great story.
Yeah.
There's a couple on the Gold Coast who joined us and came here as Brazilian backpackers. And
So 5 months ago, we had our first coaching call with them. There are a couple here on the Gold Coast, and Adam and I were both on the call. They decided to have both of us on the call, and they were hitting glass ceilings, right? And they had belief issues, scarcity. They had a business. It was growing, but they just weren't backing themselves. They were making excuses, telling themselves stories. So we sat down with them and explained that they have to back themselves, and here's some of the strategies that I would use, and these are some of the growth strategies we would use as well from an advertising and marketing perspective, right? And coming off, they sell on Amazon, stay on Amazon, but come off of it, go on to Shopify, put some stuff in a 3PL, and enter into the different markets, right? So enter into the US market and other markets around the world. And I had a coaching call with them late last week. And the coaching call started. I said, okay, guys, how can I be of service to you? Well, what do you want to speak about? And they said, okay, Eric, this call is all to do about property. I said, okay, well, what are you looking at doing? They're like, our business is making too much money. This is the exact words. Our business is making too much money, and we now have enough to invest into real estate. Mm-hmm. And that was a bit of an aha moment for me, because what we really do with the coaching and the teachings is use businesses as vehicles, right, to make money, to then take that money and invest in future wealth, which in my belief, and that is a belief, is in hard assets like real estate. And within 5 months, just from that one coaching call. So it wasn't like we were sat down with them 6 times or once a week. We obviously have one coaching call a week at the moment, which is a group coaching call. But that one main 45-minute coaching call was Adam and I. And from there, 5 months later, it was one full circle of they've increased their revenue by 50%.
Familiar.
They're running out of stock. Right? They're running out of stock. They backed themselves. They ordered more stock than what they think they needed, and they sold out in 3 months.
So was there any one specific thing that happened? Like we had Kenny talk about his strategy around Black Friday sales and whatever, or was it literally just backing themselves and putting gas?
It was putting the foot on the gas, right, and entering different markets. But to enter different markets is you're putting the foot on the gas. You're spending more on ads.
Yep.
So they didn't go. Yeah, they're not going and adding like we are 50 SKUs a week at Fight as an example, right? What they're doing is just literally following what we're teaching them, but doing the work, right? It's them two. They've got a very, very small team, and I was so proud of them. And this last Monday night coaching call, I asked them if they would come on and I can kind of interview them on that experience and what they got from the coaching calls, right? And what they implemented. And I got that many messages after the coaching call just going, oh my God, this was amazing, because I revolved the call around glass ceilings, and we all have glass ceilings, right? How do you get from, $100,000 to $1 million? How do you get from $1 million to 5 million? How do you get to 5 million to 10 million? And it seems so difficult when you're at that time, right? Like you just cracked 10K a week. Like, how are you going to get to 100K, or 50K? And it's these stories that we tell ourselves.
That's why it's so important to keep up-leveling the rooms that you're in, because it often when you're out there on your own, like these guys have gotten to about 2 million a year. When they started, that would have felt like a freaking dream, but it's not till you hang out with somebody doing 10 million a month that you realize this pool might be a little bit deeper than I first thought. And so they bought their way into that room with you that went 2 million here. That's sweet, guys. Do you want to play in the big boys pool now? No, not offense to them.
Yeah.
And there are rooms that Eric could go into that would say, right, 100 million a year. That's nice. That's a good start. And that's where you start leveling up. And that's what getting in these groups is about.
And it creates accountability, right? The last thing they're going to want to do is get on another coaching call with us in 5 months, right? And go, hey, where are you at? Oh, we're still doing 2 mil, or we're still here. That's what you don't want to do, right? What they're going to do is they're going to go, I want to put in the work. I want to show these guys, and I'm going to tell them I've just increased my business by 50%. And I know it because now they're going to be going and buying property with it. And that's the full circle that we're actually teaching. And it was amazing to see in such a short period of time. And this is a business. I told them from the beginning, the initial coaching call, I said, this is a business I would invest in 110%. Love the idea. Amazing backers. Like they are, amazing jockeys, right? They're just amazing people putting in the work. Immigrants to Australia, right? One of them was selling secondhand phones, and one of them was a barista prior. So this amazing story.
The guy I mentioned before at the start who had his first just about $1 million profit year, he's an Indian guy, came to Australia with nothing. His business did 4.5 this year. 4.3 million, and just closed out at just shy of $1 million profit. Can you imagine coming from India 4 or 5 years ago with like nothing, and then being there now? He's coming on the pod because it's just such a great story.
And he's got some big goals coming up this year.
And what he's doing really well, he's not just in our coaching program, he's in other coaching programs that are all of that program. So he's doing what Alex Hormozi talked about. Alex Hormozi says, I keep paying for help until there's no more help to pay for. And he, that's the hack, is to get around the people. Okay. And that's how I got into deals. Like I said to my accountant, who have you got that's 5 times richer than me? Because he knows my net worth. And he goes, oh, these guys. I said, who are those guys would talk to me? And he goes, all of them. I said, can you do an intro? Because he goes, what do you want to ask him? I said, wow, what do I need to know? What deals are you doing today that I should need to know about now? And I have millions of dollars in deals today because of those meetings with those people that are richer than me, who said, I remember when I was there with, a net worth of X. From there, you need to do this.
Yeah. I was paying $35,000 a year for coaching 10 years ago. Right. Yep. And they used to give me the book, right? The to-do lists and, the CD, all that. That business coach that I had, I'm still very good friends with him today. And he literally sent me a referral email. I haven't even told you about this. this week in regards to another property guy that puts deals together. And now I haven't done coaching with him for 7-8 years, because I did it for a couple of years and learned what I needed to do and move forward. So, and the key here, guys, is recognizing the value in yourself. And that's one thing I've learned this week, especially through doing the coaching, is it doesn't matter if you have the Tesla in front of you, this amazing product. If you don't have the belief, right, or the confidence in yourself to go out there and put in the work, it doesn't fucking matter. It actually doesn't matter, right? It's all up here, right? You need to work within a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. So it doesn't matter what we teach you. We can show you the exact way, right? And you still won't do anything.
And I think that is a really good point. I think sometimes people think about, they think about business and they think, wow, so daunting because money is involved, and they've grown up to have these limiting beliefs about money. But really, entrepreneurship is just what entrepreneurs choose as their game, as their sport, as their form of American football. Do you know what I mean? There's a quote that Richard Branson had, and it says, "Challenge is the core and mainspring of all human action. If there's an ocean, we cross it. A disease, we cure it. If there's a wrong, we right it. A record, we break it. If there's a mountain, we climb it." If you're getting into entrepreneurship, it's because it's your game. And if we can start seeing it more as a game, I think it can be more fun, and it can humanize the experience, make it a little bit more relatable.
The other aspect of overcoming that fear is we're just planning now for our coaching clients where we've got 2 guys who are in Burleigh who are really quietly spoken surfer dudes, and I'm just guessing, but I would say there's probably $15 to $20 million of equity that they've acquired through developing real estate, right? Now 3 years ago they were carpet cleaners, right, on $80,000 a year, and they've just learned a strategy and expanded that strategy and are just doing great things. And they're lovely, lovely guys, right? Just really top shelf. And so they're just in the group because they want to grow their network. That's it. And so we're putting together a day with them where we're going to rent a couple of buses and we're going to do a wealth day. And so our clients are all going to come together from around the country, and you're going to sit on a bus with us for a full day, and we're going to drive around and show you some of Eric's projects from, a little town, a little block of land in Burleigh that you split and built 2 houses on, to the 9-story towers that you built, to going out and seeing these guys' projects. So you get out of the bus, walk on the land, see the deal, and you're standing there with the guy who actually did it, who's wearing a Billabong t-shirt and a pair of flip-flops.
Yeah.
And we'll go down to some of my commercial projects in Burleigh. When you have that experience, you see the building, you see the land, and you're standing there with a guy who's just like you. That changes people.
Yep.
And that's the power of physicality and being in the room.
And some of these deals, right, they're not some of them are multi-million-dollar deals, but some of them aren't. So they sent us a breakdown of some of the deals that they've done. And some of them are just like a quick $500,000 in, $200,000 out, 6 months later, just these little juicy deals, right? So it's within reach for a lot of people. And if it's not in reach for one person, it's in reach for 2 people partnering together, or a syndicate of 3 as an example.
That'd be great on the pod.
Yeah.
Well, they just keep their head down because they literally said, we make quite a bit of money on some of these deals and we don't want that getting around.
Yeah.
So they said, we're happy to help your coaching clients. And another example of just the type of dudes they are, I did a coaching call with a lovely lady who's in our group. She's also Indian, and she's sort of, her and her husband came out to Australia a few years ago, and they've got some equity and all this sort of stuff and don't know what to do next. And I said, I think you need to get some of that. They own a couple of $1 million house. I said, if you really want to achieve the goals that you said you want to achieve, I would free up the equity in your principal place of residence if you're not that attached to living there, and use it to invest in real estate. And I said, I'll set up a call with the guys in Burleigh for you. And they were like, oh, no, we're not ready to talk to those guys. And you could feel this sort of, I'm not worthy. And so many people feel that way. And I emailed the boys and said, hey, would you mind just having a call with this lovely couple in Melbourne who come out here, they've got some equity, they've worked really hard, they've got to this point through hard work. And they said, absolutely, would be stoked to do that. Within 5 minutes, the meeting's set. And then I set him up with our coach, Dominic, who's in real estate. He's a architect developer. Dominic, oh, mate, absolutely, let's get on the phone. They were just blown away about how willing they were to help, because that we build up these stories that everybody's better than us. It's, John T. Martini says we put others on the pedestal and ourselves in the pit.
Yeah.
But by giving yourself permission and putting it, once you spent a day with these people and hung out and had a few beers together, you realize, holy shit, I have put so many limitations on myself. These people are just like me that just had a crack.
Yeah. And you touched on it before, but I just want to make a point of, you know who I'm talking to right now. I'm not going to mention his name, but that just cracked $10 million in revenue this financial year. And that is, you're part of what they call the 1% club, right? On average, only 1% of businesses will ever achieve hitting a revenue target of $10 million. So well done.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. The other thing too, just from my side, is it's also a shift in perspective, because I'll look at something and I'll see one opportunity. So for example, the real estate deals, I'll be walking past deals every single day and not seeing and recognizing what they are. And then having the ability to be around people who see the opportunity differently and see actually what's available there. It's a big perspective shift. And for me, again, that's priceless. You can't get that anywhere else. You need to be around those people who...
You need to be around it. Yeah. The way when the first time I found an 8-figure person to help me, because I was at a point where I only had 7-figure businesses. I wanted to go to 8, like this person in our coaching group. It was years ago, and I was in New York. And I was in upstate New York in an area called the Adirondacks, and it was a 3-day weekend that I'd paid to go to. And what they did was they said, write down what you would like to get out this weekend, write it on a piece of paper, make a paper airplane and just throw it into the room. And then throughout the weekend, try and find people, put your name on there. And if you can help that person, track them down in the room and tell them. And I wrote, I want to learn how to turn my business into a $10 million plus business, thinking nothing's going to come of this. Through the plane, I had 4 people come up to me in that week and said, oh, no problem. When do you want to catch up this weekend?
Wow.
One of those guys was actually Dan Martell. You know Dan Martell?
Yes.
So Dan Martell's quite a big deal now online, blown up. You can Google him. He had an exit with Clarity. He sat down and said, hey, this is what you got to do. And so I was in the room, and that's how I found these people who said, tell me your business. And that's a thing. People don't realize that people want to help people. And most people who are down the line are happy to help.
Pay it forward
and help, So good learnings anyway for everybody listening out there. Like getting in those better rooms is just so key to growth, right? Eric, anything else?
Just wanted to touch base on our luxury holiday accommodation business. We've been hitting some unbelievable records, even with the economy tightening up a little bit from retail perspective because of inflation and high interest rates. And how good is it that my business partner is about to leave this week to Europe for 3 months? We have management in the business that's running the business. The business can be run remotely, right? So he'll still have the finger on the pulse when he's traveling Europe. And so how good is that, knowing that you have a business that is growing, right? And it'll keep growing even while he's away, because he can work on it remotely in a economy which is quite tight at the moment with disposable income. So it's amazing some of the businesses that can be built.
Chris is a legend.
That's what makes.
Yeah, he's a legend. Yeah, he's a legend. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's an operator. It's what he knows, and we've attracted really, really good people over the years, and now it's just picking up massive momentum.
Like business is really hard, and the money is great, but it's that freedom that I think makes it all worthwhile. That's something that you can't put a price on.
Yeah. 8-figure business is
8-figure business. Yeah. 8-figure business.
All right, one more thing to close, and then we'll call that. I had a call this week with a cool company out of the States called LaunchBoom. Some of you probably heard of LaunchBoom, but if you haven't, you can look them up. They specialize, they're an agency that launch products onto Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and they are the biggest in the world. They launch about 600 projects annually. And we met them. It's owned by a guy called Will Ford, who's actually a really good friend of mine. Will Ford and I go way back when I was living in Los Angeles. It's an interesting story, talking about the power of connecting dots. But when I moved to Los Angeles, I rented in a WeWork, and in the office next to me was a guy called Ash, and Ash had a company that was a fintech startup. and they raised 14 million US from Silicon Valley. He's from Perth. He and I became close mates. The new business we're about to launch, Eric, I, and Ash, it's that Ash from Hollywood,
Wow.
who's now my business partner in this new project. Anyway, when I was there in that co-working space, one day a guy comes in called Will Ford, and Will Ford had a company which was a dog treats subscription box. You know, like every month you would get a box in the mail, have like treats and toys and things for your dog. And they were raising money and he needed some animated videos made. So I was giving him a quote on doing these cartoon videos for his capital raising. And I turned around and said, Will, you know what, don't worry about paying me for the videos. I'll take equity in the company and I'll invest some money as well. So I was one of his first investors and that's how we became friends. Anyway, he now owns LaunchBoom. He's had that for 8 years and he's crushing. What I wanted to share quickly with it was something I learned about the way that they do these launches, which I thought might be interesting and helpful for some of you that are thinking of launching products. So what they do is they basically, before they do a Kickstarter campaign, and for those who don't know what Kickstarter is, look it up. Basically, it's a way to pre-sell products and deliver them later, but get the customer's money up front so you can develop your product. Is they do these campaigns where they run ads on Facebook and Instagram where they say, reserve your product, you know, for $1. So let's say it's baseball caps that are going to be $100. Put $1 deposit down to make sure that you're in the first allocation, the first release of these caps. And they build this huge list of people who've paid $1 and they've got the credit card on file. And they were saying that a person who puts down $1 is 30 times more likely to buy the product than somebody who isn't. This is the tested math. Mm-hmm. And so what they do is they build these enormous lists and they build pressure on the offer. And earlier, about 2 weeks ago, Daniel Priestley, who's an Aussie guy, was on a podcast with Stephen Bartlett from Diary of a CEO. And Daniel Priestley was talking specifically about the value of a line and the value of pressure, and from a marketing point of view, how it creates scarcity when there may not be scarcity that exists. And so, and what was really interesting is not only did it get this line of pre-qualified buyers built up, but it identified who the buyers are, because the people who are prepared to pay $1 are statistically the same people that are going to provide $30, which unlocks and gives up all of Meta's data. So Meta then go, okay, we can retarget these guys. So you can get 100, 200 of these transactions and say, that's our pool now, go and amplify that. Rather than having to wait to get a $30 or $100 transaction for the item, you can get it for $1 and you actually get the data. And that was really powerful to me. Really clever, right? It's a clever way to unlock the cookie jar for a small amount of money. And so I learned a lot from those guys. So if you are looking to launch a product into the US that would benefit from having, 1,000 pre-sales where you get paid up front, a Kickstarter and Indiegogo could be a great way to do it, but do it through Will and his team.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And they're experts at creating these campaigns and creating pressure around your offer. So really, really interesting.
I'd love to have a chat with him. I've got a few interesting new products that we wanted to launch.
Yeah, I'll be happy to connect you. And if anybody does need a connection to Will, just go to my Instagram and hit me up in the DMs. So Adam Hudson Official, and just send me a DM and with your email address, I'll introduce you directly to Will and his team. But yeah, fantastic.
I mean, 600 products a year that they're launching, they got to be doing something right.
Dude. Yeah. And you know what else was interesting? And this is, again, the power of networks. Like, I nurture networks, right? On my Instagram this morning, I noticed I was sitting down last night for dinner, and after dinner, actually, Cass had gone to bed, and just to unwind, I put on some YouTube on the big screen at home. And there was this YouTube thumbnail, what it is to be a millionaire in Monaco, a day in the life of a millionaire in Monaco. Right. And I had this cool YouTube of this guy. I go, holy shit, that's a guy I was in a coaching program with last year, right? On the thumbnail, because we both joined this high-end coaching program, $25,000 a year. And it's in America. And so I watched this video and it was off the charts. He'd rented a $100,000 a week villa in Monaco for the F1. And he was there with 5 of his mates, and they're all just ripped to units and like crushing, right? And so I DM'd him this morning when I got up and I said, Wade, I just saw that video on YouTube. I'm like, bro, you have leveled up so far. Like 6 months ago, his Instagram was kind of good. Now it's like on fire because he's just, just leveled everything up. And I just said, mate, I'm so happy for you. I hope you're crushing, brother. You know, like that's nurturing a network. And so I nurture these networks over time. And that's why, like with Will, like when I was talking to Will, he said to me, a few things came out of it. And I'll just tell you these quickly to round it up. I did the call with him from EarliBird.ai headquarters. And so my son, Josh, is there. He works with Chris. He works in the company at EarliBird. And Will has been building this massive mansion on the beach in Mexico. His wife makes millions of dollars as a drug rep, and Will makes millions of dollars as an entrepreneur.
Pharmaceutical, right?
Pharmaceutical, not a Mexican drug runner. Pharmaceutical.
Building a massive house in Mexico, and she's a drug.
What's that TV show?
I know, right?
Wait.
So they got no kids and they got shitloads of money and they're really good friends of mine. And so I said, Will, where are you, bro? And he goes, oh, I'm actually in the casita out the back of this house. And the casita is like the little guest, or the servants' quarters, right? And he goes, oh, the house is not quite ready. And I'm like, well, bro, get rid of that shitty background you got. Open it up, bro. I want to see this, right? Because I had Josh there, right? And I wanted Josh to see what business brings. So he flicks the camera around and he's got like 2 acres on the sand, private beach. It looked like fucking Pablo Escobar's place. The pool is enormous. It's got the huge archways. And he goes, yeah, man, like I've been working on this for 3 years. I got 15 full-time Mexican workers over there, another family over there. And I'm like, Josh, come and look at this, bro. And so Josh comes over and he sees it, right? And that's the power of networks. And Will's immediately, because he understands, right? He said, Josh, if you do well in business, you can, and he starts coaching Josh, right? And Josh is getting amped because he's like, fuck, man, like how cool is this? And he goes, Josh, you can come anytime, brother. We got plenty of rooms here. We'll go and smoke a stogie on the beach. And turns out as well, Will's sister-in-law is the new Martha Stewart in America. She's the biggest star on the Home Shopping Network.
Wow.
And so he says, whenever you want to get on the Home Shopping Network, Adam, just let me know. And our product's perfect for Home Shopping Network. So what I'm getting at here is like this little investment of like 30 grand, I think I put into his business 10 years ago and stuff, and just nurturing the relationship over time. So if the young guys listening to this coming up, if you just look after people and you invest in those relationships and be the one that sends a little video for their birthday and sends a note over time, like people look at my network and Eric's network and go, how the fuck do these guys know so many people? It's just because you nurture people and you see people and you recognize, like I did with Wade. Like Wade saw the video, bro, hope you're crushing. And that led to a whole dialogue this morning. Eric's now connected.
Yeah, and I just started following him. Next thing you know, he's like, yo, what's up, brother? And I'm like messaging him back and forth.
It's so cool how like Americans will get on the phone or on the Zoom call with someone they've never met and give them like a rev up.
Yeah.
If you try to do that here in Australia, people will go, what are you, a fucking YouTube channel?
Yeah. it's good. It's going to be a comp.
No,
it's like, it's amazing. Like it really is amazing. There's like, we had a guest on who was American, started a brand here in Australia, and I just felt that energy throughout the whole call.
Americans,
it's that inspiration.
When I met in that group with Will, another guy was Tom Marchicello, and Tom's an investment banker from San Diego. When I first met Tom, one of the first things he said to me, he said, here's my card, Adam, gave me his investment banking card. Look, what can I do for you? Who do you need to meet? Why are you here? And I was just like, where am I?
Yeah.
In Australia, they wouldn't do that. But that being said, Mark, there is so much to be said just for, like I did it just a few weeks ago to a dear friend. And I said, I just wanted to check in and just see how you're doing, man. Like, how are you? Like, what's happening? And he goes, you know what, Adam, it shows an incredible sense of calm and substance to actually ask that question in the way that you just did. Thank you for asking that. And so in Australia, just recognizing somebody who's hustling, shining, and just saying, Mark, I see what you're doing on Insta, or Mark, I see you on the pod. Bro, I just want to say, man, I'm so inspired by you. Thank you for everything you're doing, man. I see you. That's it.
Yep.
That shit, people will forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you make them feel.
Yeah.
And if you become good at that over time, mate, I know myself. I could be broke tomorrow and I'll have 15,000 people want to help me.
Yeah.
Because I've just invested so hard for so long in that way.
Let's go.
You know what? A year from now, Adam's going to be sitting down with this big screen on YouTube, and that same video is going to come up in Monaco. And I'm going to be one of the 5 guys there with Wade.
I was like, Wade, you know, bro, next time you're putting one of those together, hit me up.
Yeah.
Because I want to hang out with those younger dudes, and I want to learn from them, and I want to be around that energy. But everybody listening, you know, like, to be that person. Like, it's a self-selection process. Nobody's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, Chris, you get to be that person. Just fucking be that person from today that is the one that goes to your calendar and diarizes your mates' birthdays and put it in there, and be the one that makes a video that says, Chris, I just want to say happy birthday, bro. And I also want to say, while I'm here, how much I respect what you're doing at EarliBird. I just see how hard you're trying, and I want nothing. I got a mate right now who's going through some pretty tough shit. And on the day that I knew the shit was going down, I texted him in the morning because he was on my mind. And I said, bro, I've been through this. I know what this is. Here's my advice to you for what it's worth, but I'm here for you. And like, he came back, so bro, thank you so much, you know, because people don't give a fuck, or they think about it, but they don't do the step of the doing. And if you just do it,
you don't think about it. That's the thing. Life's so busy, and we're so consumed with the phones, you know, it's so consuming that you actually don't sit there and think about the small things of reaching out to an old friend, or, you know, telling your parents or your brother or your sister or family, hey, how's it going? You know, like, we feel it's almost fake, because you feel like you're so connected to people through social media, because you can be like, you're seeing their kids grow, you're seeing what they're doing, but you're seeing it from such a distance, and they don't know you're watching, you know? But psychologically, it feels like they know we're watching, but they don't.
I gotta be so careful of that.
Yeah.
The richness of life comes from the real experiences. And I know, like, I'm planning a trip to the US next year, and I've said to Wade, you know, when I'm down in Miami, I'll come see us. I broke, like, got to catch up, because we've actually never met. And my friend Will is like, when you come, you're going to get the VIP treatment, right? Like, he goes, come down to Mexico, come hang in the casino, come and hang in the house, you know, we got the staff, got everything.
It's an invite for the whole Unemployable pod.
But you know what, Will would actually be cool with that. He'd be like, bring everybody, like, you know, so it's just, you know, don't make the mistake. I watched Simon Sinek talk about this with Stephen Bartlett, and he said, everybody bumps their friends and bumps their family because they've got a meeting or they've got work. Why aren't you bumping work for your friends? You know, like saying, hang on, if somebody tries to set an appointment, you say, no, I've actually got an appointment. And this is the thing, you got to diarize your friends. You know, like, my wife is so good at, like, making sure, like, just before we start this pod, she's like, I'm booking 2 poker nights. These are the 2 nights. These are the guys I'm thinking, what do you think? And so we're putting in our calendar our social life, because if you don't put it in your social life, it fits around everything else instead of the other way around. So, and I asked Mark before we came, do you play poker now that you're up here? You want to come? And it's being that, bringing them together. So it'll be in time, there's a richness to it, you know.
And if you don't make it a priority, if you don't book it, 6 months goes like this, and you're not getting it back.
It's the irony of it, right? It's like, I'm so busy working on my business, but you're working on your business so you can have more time with your family and friends. So why not prioritize the time with family and friends first?
And ask, always ask. Be like, sometimes you ask somebody that you want to hang with, and you don't ask the question.
Yeah.
You know, the other night for poker, we had somebody fall out. I had somebody that was very nearby, who's a friend of mine, sort of a friend, I guess. And he's a multi-billionaire, very, very well known in Australia. And I thought, well, I invited him around with my degenerate mates for poker. I knew he was there. I knew he was, because where I live, I knew he was there. I knew he was on his own. And I thought, he's not going to want to fucking hang out with us. We're just in there. And I texted him, and he didn't respond. The next day I saw him, and he said, man, I would have fucking loved to come last night. Thank you for inviting me. I couldn't do it because this, that. But I was like, it was out of my comfort zone to ask him to do it, but I did it anyway. And you just got to always ask the question, right? Like, you got to ask the questions, make it happen. Don't be afraid of being rejected. You won't know unless you ask.
Yes, and he, like you said, he didn't even respond. So most people would go off into their mind thinking, he doesn't want to know the land, but
those are the stories.
Some people just don't respond. It doesn't mean, you know what I mean?
Because you're putting him on a pedestal. You're going, why would a billionaire always? Of course he's not going to reply to me.
It's what's the old saying? Never ascribe to malice what could otherwise be ascribed to ignorance. It's a way of saying don't get caught in that story.
Yeah.
You're not good enough, or they're not interested. Hey, he was stoked. He was like, "Brother, I would have loved to come and play poker. You have no idea. That would have been so much fun, you know."
Great anecdotal story.
What I thought, he's 83 years old, right? He's 83, and all of us are like, 50 and 40s, and he was like, "I would have loved to come. Would have been a good dude, you know."
I was going to say, it's a small action, but a very big reaction. And that's the key. So it seems like it's a small action, but man, that's amazing.
Right.
It's powerful.
To the end of the day, like he's just a human being as well. He was in town on his own. I knew he was on his own. What's he going to do? Why wouldn't you hang out? I know he loves a joke and a laugh and a drink, so come on up. Like we got you covered, bro. Anyway, so hopefully that's helpful for another week of the pod, guys. For all you entrepreneurs that are out there, we see you, we respect you, we really do think about you, and we're trying to serve you through this pod by sharing stories from the heart, from the road, and all of that stuff. 3 things to leave you with. 1, if you can benefit from AI and you're doing over $500,000 a year, go talk to this man here, Chris's team, EarliBird.ai, get a free audit. Next thing, if you need some coaching, you want to be around the community, you want to get a busload of crazy people and meet people who are doing multi-million-dollar deals and realize that they're not much smarter, if they're smarter at all than you, come and inquire about that, unemployable.com.au/coaching, and the summit, October 1920. We now officially have more people on the wait list than we have seats in the room, not counting their partners. So get on that wait list, because that's where we're going to release tickets first. It is unemployable.com.au/events. So go there, put your name and email in, and we will send you an email as soon as tickets come online, which will be any time now in the next week or two. So that is it for another week of Unemployable. Thank you for watching. Chris, thank you for coming in and helping out as always. Keep crushing, and we will see you guys next Friday on the pod. Drop a comment, let us know if you enjoyed it, and share the word that this is out there and available to people who are unemployable. Bye for now. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that episode of Unemployable. If you'd like to watch another episode, just click there.